So the next step in the process of knife making, of course, is the heat treating. It's the next day here. I do have some heat treating foil. This stuff is rated at 2200 degrees, and the reason why I'm using 2200 degrees is because I'm going to be doing it in a forge. Basically what this does is it keeps a lot of the scale from getting on the knife or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, sprinkle a little bit of sawdust in there. As the knife heats up, the sawdust will burn, and it will burn up all the oxygen in there. It also helps with the heat treat scale. This stuff is pretty expensive. Make sure you use your folds like 3 times. Make sure it's a really good seal. Okay, next step is to heat up the oil. I'm going to go all Bill Nye Science Guy on you. Really important thing to do. A lot of people just take a piece of hot steel, put it in there, whatever temperature it gets to. I don't go that way. I want to keep my my hardening and my tempering, and this process is probably the most important process of them all, to a complete science. Heating the oil up, usually oil needs to be between 150 and close to 200 degrees, depending on the thickness of your blade. My blade is pretty thin, the edge is pretty thin, so I'm going to go 165, 170. The forge is heating up right now, and what I'm going to do is, I don't know how loud it's going to be out there because that thing sounds like a jet engine, but I'm going to heat up the blade to just about critical. That means, let's say this is an atom or molecule or whatever the hell the steel has. When you heat it up, the molecules or atoms in the steel expand. When you cool it down, they contract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some stressors off the blade by heating it up, taking it out, letting it cool down a little bit. It's going to contract. Do it again, it's going to get even bigger. Cooling it down, and then the last time those molecules are going to get just huge, and then when I quench it, they're going to shrink way up. Okay, it takes a lot of stress off the blade, especially with 01 tool steel. You need to be very careful to do it right. It's a great steel as long as you know what you're doing. So I got the blade all packaged up. Wear gloves when you're using this stuff because it is very, very sharp. And I'm going to heat up the oil and then go from there. I got my blade in the forge. It's coming up to critical right now. I just want to throw another tip in there. See a lot of guys using the same oil for multiple knives on a quench. Remember, when you put the blade in there, exponentially that oil is going to go up in temperature. So if you have several knives, use several batches of oil at the right temperature. Also, when you quench a blade, old blacksmith tip, quench it with the blade tip facing magnetic north. It tends to warp less if you're going to have a warp. I don't know if it's if it's an old wives' tale or whatever, but I don't know. It works. Okay, so the oven's almost preheated to 420 degrees. I cleaned the blade off a little bit with some wet dry sandpaper as it was cooling down. The reason why I do that is because I need to check the color. You heat treat and then you temper. So I'm tempering it at 420 degrees for 1 hour exactly. I also have an internal thermometer inside the oven to make sure it does remain at the 420 degrees. You take it out, you check the color. If it's a straw color already with some thinner blades, you've already tempered it. If not, bring it down a little bit more for another hour at 420 degrees, and do not let it cool down to room temperature between. Do the same thing. Can you hold it in your hand for about 15-20 seconds? Okay, it's time to go back in the oven. Just wanted to show you guys tempering's finished. See that nice straw color in the light there. Tested the tip. It's not going to break. That is important. So, next off is finishing. So now I'm back in the dungeon. I have some 320 grit wrapped around my 154 cm. You can really take the finishing as high as you want to go. You can go 320, 400, you know, just keep going up, 600, 1,000. You can even go up to like 2,000. Just stop when you find a nice finish on the blade, and you don't have to go mirror polish. A lot of people like mirror polish. It's really, for the most part, it's a waste of time. Yes, it's not going to rust as fast because there's not going to be a place for the water to really sit in there. But just take your time, get a feel for it, find out what you like. Now after you get a good polish on your blade, or you take it down to, you know, a satin finish or anything like that, and you're happy with it. This one here I did, when people say mirror polish means a couple different things to some people. To me, a mirror polish should be looking in the mirror. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference between, you know, each object. So I have a pretty high polish finish on here, as you can see. Basically the only difference between satin and this is about 45 minutes, an hour, something like that. So I have a really nice finish on here. The next thing you want to do is protect your blade, so I'm going to go ahead and tape it up with some painter's tape. The reason why I don't use duct tape or electrical tape, you can put a layer of painter's tape on it first, because then you won't have all that residue. Then you can start wrapping it with duct tape or electrical tape or anything like that. So I'm going to do that, and I've picked out some colors for the handle material. I'm going to go with orange liners. That looks horrible on the camera. Orange liners. It looks better in person. Orange liners and black and green G10. This is 1/4 inch. And laying around. I think the contrast is going to look very nice. Now that I taped up the blade, what I want to do is trace the handle onto the liner material, and I want to have as less waste as possible, but I also want to leave a little bit of wiggle room for error. So I think that's going to be about good. And I'm just going to do that twice. Cut these out. You can use a Dremel to cut it out. You can use a small little hacksaw or like a jeweler's saw. I'm going to use my bandsaw. It's so much easier and quicker. You don't have to have a really expensive bandsaw, but it's good if you do. Mine's not that good, but it works for what I need it for. Got the handles all cut out. I took the liberty to also do the G10 as well. The next step is going to be gluing the liner material to the handle material. There are a lot of people that swear by like acetone and things like that. Also alcohol, rubbing alcohol to clean up the surface. You're going to want to scratch this up pretty good because you want these two pieces to bond together, and you also want to make sure you get the oil off, and people use that acetone or rubbing alcohol to get the oil off. I do use that, but there is a step that you're kind of skipping. Acetone, rubbing alcohol, brake cleaner, all leaves residue on any material that it touches. It does. It's just a fact. I learned that gunsmithing. So the one thing that I always use is hot water and Dawn dish soap. Now, Dawn dish soap, what does it do? Gets the grease out of the way. So that's what I use. Dry it off real well. And of course, dish soap rinses pretty clean. I don't know. It's late. I'm sorry. So what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to use DevCon 2-ton epoxy, 30-minute set time. I'm going to leave it overnight. I do have G-Flex and things like that. However, it's not going to be on a knife that's really flexing. It's a Skinner. So going to go ahead and do that. Leave it overnight to dry. And the next step.